Despite the COVID-19 recession and a strict movement control order, unemployment in Malaysia has hit a 27-year high. The Merdeka Centre says 5 to 8% more Malaysians will fall into poverty because of the pandemic.
According to our respective lecturers, Sir Azwan, today we will present our topic, which is unemployment among Malaysians during COVID-19 pandemic. Before that, let me introduce my team members, which is Graciela Evadona, Ethel Jarrett, Aflin Mikhail, and Emilia Michael. According to Kimberly Emedio 2020, unemployment is defined as when the people are ready to find a job but unable or still not being accepted to any job, and it has affect not only the people but also a group of community, region, and also the economy. There is some situation that will affect the economy, which is a COVID-19 pandemic outbreak that has affected the economy and also the people globally, especially in our country Malaysia. Most of the people are struggling with their economy to survive, since there is a movement control order that asks all the company to shut down their businesses to deal with the crisis of COVID-19. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia, the highest unemployment rate is in May 2020, which is 5.3%. This shows that there is an increase of employed people rather than before, which is from 306,000 to 826,000. This situation shows a bit of phenomena because there is a negative trend in the labor market.
The first problems of unemployment in Malaysia during COVID-19 are people will lose their job. There's a lot of businesses in Malaysia, especially small businesses, are being affected by the coronavirus of COVID-19. This is due to the first movement control order or total lockdown. When the Malaysia government imposed the movement control order, it has been hugely affected not only small business but also big business. During this movement control order, all the government and private premises are being ordered to be closed except those under essential services. For instance, business or shop that being closed is Esprit, Hard Rock in Kota Kinabalu, and many more businesses. So if there is a lot of business or company closed or shutting down, the workers that work for them will also lose their job. This is because the company cannot earn enough money because the demand is low, therefore they cannot pay their workers salary. The workers have no other choice to quit the job, or maybe the company forced to do downsizing that lead to people lose their jobs, such as Asia Group. This hugely affected by those people who have lower salary, as many people who lose their job is from the lower income group. According to the Star News, the Human Resources Ministry reports that 99,696 Malaysians have lost their job since the adoption of the movement control order in March till November 27th of 2020. As the COVID-19 pandemic continues, the wreak havoc on the economy. So for the second problem of unemployment in Malaysia during COVID-19 is the lack of job opportunity. In Malaysia, this is because most of private and public sector are unable to open job opportunity due to financial constraints. In other words, they do not have enough budget in recruiting new candidates. This will hugely affect the youth, especially those postgraduates. Prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, incidences of graduate underemployment were on the rise. More graduates are likely to be out of work for an extended period of time because of the difficulty that graduates have in finding work. According to the 2019 graduate tracking report, 41,161 graduates found it challenging to find work 6 months after their graduations. This is because 75,000 graduates are having difficulty finding work in the year of 2020 as a result of COVID-19. The overall unemployment of these graduates is anticipated to rise by more than 100,000. So yeah, this will waste a lot of talent for the potential postgraduate student as they cannot utilize all their skills, knowledge, new ideas and many more. So for the third problems is the wage subsidy is insufficient. So the Perikatan National Government boost the wage subsidy program, which has handed out 8.97 billion ringgit to 311,191 enterprises as of July 24, 2020, has saved 2.6 million jobs, while the 1,200 ringgit per subsidy for enterprises with fewer than 76 employees have added many SMEs. A closer review of the labor force statistics shows that the level of wage subsidies offered was not appealing enough for many SMEs. If the subsidy amount had been bigger, equivalent to the amount granted in Singapore, the initiative could have saved even more employment. As of June 30, 2020, the total number of companies registered with the Malaysian Companies Commissions was 1.361 million. Only 22.3% of enterprises benefited from the WSP, since only 311,191 enterprises successfully enrolled for the program. For those enterprises who are not yet applied for the WSP, it is because of probably the wage subsidy is not enough or not sufficient for them to pay their workers. Singapore has a workforce of about 2.8 million people, which is about a fourth of Malaysians. However, salary subsidies were given to 53% of Singapore's workers. In Malaysia, just 2.6 million workers receive their pay subsidy, but out of a total workforce of 15.2 million. As a result, Singapore unemployment rate increased just slightly from 3.3% in the first quarter of 2020 to 3.9% in the second quarter. Malaysia unemployment rate increased from 3.5% in the first quarter of 2020 to 5.1% in the second quarter.
So next proceeds to the implication in terms of advantages and disadvantages of unemployment among Malaysians during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the first advantages is the unemployed among Malaysians will feel motivated to engage in entrepreneurship during the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak. It is because when people lose their job, many people seem to be inspired to become an entrepreneurs. As according to Kibli in 1971, entrepreneurship is significant for the economic growth. And besides that, according to Google Trends, in their recent query shows on the starting a business have reached their peak since the company began collecting data in 2004. And there could be a number of reasons for this, such as the push factor, the need to do so for survival, and possibility looking for alternative income. And push factors are viewed as a necessity factors, and they are a negative motivator for someone to start their own businesses. So the push entrepreneurship are the group of people who start their own businesses in order to overcome the negative environmental effect of the poverty, such as the unemployment, job market instability, and lack of job in the job market. Consequently, if a person loses his or her job, he has two options whereby they want to be self-employed or find another job. So in the case of Naim Nasir, 30 years old pilot, was terminated from the Oman Air in July due to the pandemic outbreak, has shifted into business at his new venture known as Smash Burger.
located in the Bukit Julutong. And another pilot, Mira, 33 years old, a former Malindo Air employee who was dismissed in October, has decided to start a home-based food business to continue support his life. So every people may have a different motivation, abilities, and desires to grab the opportunities to become an entrepreneur. So according to Shen et al. In 2020, due to their different motivation, their perceived opportunity considerations, risk-taking behavior, and decision-making process differently. So based on the two cases illustrated, they might be considered as motivated to taking the opportunity to be an entrepreneur due to the push factor. Hence, motivation is an encouraging factors that push people to engage in entrepreneurial activities.
I was working for Oman Air from 2018 until April this year, 2020. And I was laid off by the company, and now I'm here back in Malaysia, and I've started my business, Smashed Burger.
So the second advantages are the firm have benefits for a greater choice of recruitment of employees, or in other words, bigger worker pool. So the term firm is simply for another words for company or business. So a firm, they can use production factors such as a land, labor, and capital to generate or to create goods that are consumed by the households, and the firm can be controlled in varieties of ways, including corporations, partnership, sole proprietorship, and collectives. So as we all know, the pandemic had a major impact on businesses and many companies are downsizing. However, in other countries such as the Canada and the United States, on the other hand, they have transformed their operation to meet the society that affected due to the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Donas Morris, Walmart Chief People Officers, the company has committed to hiring 200,000 new associated by the end of May, and currently hiring approximately 5,000 new associates per day. In order to ensure positive impact on the local economy, firms can hire more people in response to the customer feedback on their products and services. It is because hiring more employees, it can increase the amount of money circulating in the market. As a result, overall local economy can improve and more businesses can grow during the COVID-19 pandemic outbreak.
Walmart is hiring. The company is bringing on 50,000 new workers to help it deal with increased demand. This is on top of a previous hire.
Moving on to the cons, there are two disadvantages of unemployment. First of all, it creates a really tough job market. According to the New Stars in 2020, there are 5 factors contributes to graduates' inability to find work. First of all, lack of industrial training, poor English, lack of problem-solving abilities, job hopping, and last but not least is lack of self-confidence. Not only that, several studies of companies, researchers have found that graduates are frequently unemployed due to lack of skills, which raise serious concern about how universities are adjusting to changing industrial demand. For instance, according to a study by ASME, students at public university are more equipped with soft skills, but students at private university are better equipped with hard skills. This demonstrates that different sectors of university have different distinct skills deficiency. As the number of available jobs decreases, COVID-19 will only exacerbate the situation, widening the gap between skills and employment. Thus, this is why Malaysia must plan ahead of time for how to prepare young people for the life after COVID. Furthermore, graduates are burdened with large student loan debt. According to a recent ISES research by Wan Saiful, low repayment rates and student loan defaults were concentrated among the B40 income groups. Thus, the financial strain that these conditions inflicts on young people, particularly those with families, and significantly adding to a negative effects on the mental health. The next cons is COVID-19 will have a particularly negative impact, especially on the young workers, which is 6 million young people in the labor force. When economic conditions worsen, young people are frequently the first to lose their job because they had a higher rate of unemployment and underemployment than the rest of the workforce. In Malaysia, young unemployment rates are consistently higher than the general unemployment rate, and they are much more sensitive to economic situation than the overall unemployment rate. Furthermore, the younger the age group, the higher the youth unemployment rate. Teenagers between the age of 15 and 19 are nearly 1.7 times more likely to be unemployed than the young adults, which is in between the age of 20 and 24. In addition, Malaysian teenagers are nearly 5 times more likely than the overall labor populations to be unemployed.
This is because given that practically all teenager job seekers lack of tertiary educations, and young adults in general are often first-timer workers who haven't had the time to establish the required social and human capital. Networks. In a nutshell, during the pandemic, young people are the group that is most affected by it.
So next proceeds to the suggestions to overcome unemployment among Malaysians during the COVID-19 pandemic. So the first suggestion is the government need to put more effort to support the gig economy during the pandemic outbreak. So according to Haley et al. In 2017, the term gig economy refers to the rapid spread of the individuals working on short-term contracts or as a freelancer via digital platforms. It has attracted the attention of Malaysians as it has grown to be significant contributors to the national economy. Such that the gig economy also provides opportunity for Malaysian youths to support their families financially. So it is significant to the unemployed people, self-sponsored students, and the recent graduates who are looking for their first job. And according to research, the gig economy can be beneficial to the society as well. It can reduce unemployment and increase job opportunities for the individuals by providing new work opportunities to them. As according to Chapa, Varghese, and Chandler in 2017. So the government also should provide programs to support and to help the youth participate in the gig economy by providing appropriate training and supporting equipment. So the primary factors driving the increase in gig economy are the rise of the millennials and digital technology, and as a result, young graduates must be educated on the benefits of the gig economy, whereby these recent graduates, they will have to compete with those who have lost their job due to the COVID-19 pandemic, whereby as in the August 2020, in Malaysia, the unemployment rate of 4.7%, it makes it more difficult for these graduates with little experience to find a work. Hence, the government, they must play a role in upgrading the gig economy, which is rapidly becoming an essential part of the nation's growth, as well as transforming traditional sectors and restructuring supply and demand in a both job market.
Ini cara baru mereka bekerja, dan kita dapati bahawa ramai yang mendapat manfaat daripada gig economy.
The second recommendation to deal with the unemployment issue during the pandemic outbreak is encourage the organization to apply wage subsidy for their employees during a pandemic outbreak. Wage subsidy, also known as the initiative for employers to get payment directly or through their employer. This subsidy were introduced in the books called The Theory of Unemployment in Peugeot 1933. According to the statistic of the survey that is carried out on the Federation of Malaysia Manufacture, 50% of the respondents facing a drop of revenue at 50% due to the pandemic outbreak. According to SOCSO 2020, all sectors are eligible to apply a wage subsidy of 600 for those who have salary income resource less than 4,000. The next recommendation is the expansion of the agriculture sector among people in Malaysia during pandemic of COVID-19. According to OED's second edition 1989, agriculture activity can be defined as one of the activity or businesses that being carried out by the people to growing something and raising livestock. Some people are struggling to survive their life by doing a farming activity. This will help the small farmer to expand their agriculture activity to avoid unemployed. Based on Jeffrey 2010, agriculture can be one of the problem solver for the issue arise of the unemployment. According to the Malaysia Institute for Youth Research Center in 2010, 42% youth Malaysia citizen, and was mentioned that 4% of them are unemployed. According to SARA 2010, there is some factor that related to the involvement of youth generation on the agriculture. One of the factor is family tradition that inherit by the families, and also the factor of income stability. The increasing involvement of the young generation in agriculture will bring a new chapter for the agricultural sector, where they can share their ideas on how they expand the agriculture sector and become a supporter to develop the sector during this pandemic outbreak. This also will encourage the people to strive to deal with the unemployment issue during this pandemic outbreak.
Recommendations of how to overcome unemployment is that the government or others organization need to restructure their scheduling of work. They need basically come out with a new idea of dividing their workers into two sessions of working. For instance, the head of the department need to basically divide his or her team or workers into group A and also group B, where the working hour for group A will be at 8 a.m. till 12 p.m. and the working hour for group B will be 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. This way of working is more efficient and effective rather than lay off their workers without any payment, or maybe most of the time an organization tends to eliminate their workers for working in the organization. So yeah, if the governments or organizations do this kind of restructuring of schedule to all their workers, this not only can avoid or eliminate the problems of unemployment, but also this kind of method also helps especially the capable junior workers or youth to not losing their job and can give them the opportunity to gain more experience in this kind of conditions, as well as they can also get the opportunity to improve their working skills such as their soft skills, the way they handle meeting, or many more things. So yeah, the governments or organizations need to basically think of this kind of method rather than eliminate half of their workers in the organizations.
The next recommendation is the government should come up with initiatives and programs such as GRADE, Graduates Reference Hub for Employment and Training. Due to the implementations of the movement control orders in March last year, Malaysia's economic operations have slowed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thus, this country's unemployment rate has been affected. As a result, the Higher Education Ministry should develop initiatives and programs to address the issues of graduate unemployment, for instance, GRADE. GRADE was created as a one-stop portal for graduates and potential graduates who are looking for information on career development, training, and job opportunities. The idea of this portal came from the realization that there was a need for single information hub on career development and opportunities for graduates to enhance their employability. One-stop portals like GRADE will let them get more information about their employability from service providers in much less time. This includes information on employment opening, educational opportunities, sponsorship, entrepreneurship programs, and skill development.
Employment within Malaysia's citizens during this pandemic outbreak was affected by several factors that cannot be avoided. People in Malaysia was now struggling to deal with the unemployment issue, and there is an advantage and disadvantage from facing the issue during this pandemic outbreak. Unemployment within Malaysia is still in the serious stage, especially during this pandemic outbreak. People lose their job and facing an issue where they cannot find any job for the time being.